Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and make sure everyone can chat with us. Hi, I see some names that I recognize. Sorry, I'm running a little behind here. Okay, I've enabled the chat if you want to say hello. We're going to get started in just 1 minute. I really appreciate you guys spending some time on a Friday afternoon. I am Kim. It's good to see you. I see lots of names I recognize. Thank you for joining us. All right. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we are going to jump right in. This is being recorded, so if you need to hop for any reason, or if you want to review this afterwards or share anything with any colleagues, we would appreciate that. It will be sent to you automatically. My name is Kim Taylor. I work here at Catalyst Education. I work with our sales team and all of our wonderful faculty engagement partners. So today we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, student motivation. So we're going to go through sort of where we feel like we're at with student motivation in the state of higher education or education in general. We're going to show some data that supports where students feel like they are in their academic journey in terms of engagement and motivation. And then we're going to dive right into Catalyst's platform, which is aiming to solve this motivation problem through a couple of different tools, but the main one we're going to focus on today is an automated token economy. So, a little background about me. I was a high school teacher before I came to work in ed tech. And I know high school is not the same as college, but it's pretty close. I taught high school seniors. And I always joke that I don't think there's a less motivated group of people in the world than high school seniors in their second semester. They, either already know where they're going to college or they already know what they're doing. And most days I came to class feeling like that scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where they're just like, anyone, anyone. So if you can relate to that, I feel you. Even if your class is highly motivated and highly engaged, I think some of the tactics we're going to talk about today could really interest you. So I'm going to kind of be solo today doing this, but if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat. It makes it much more engaging if this can be kind of a two-way conversation rather than me just talking to myself. Speaking of motivation, so it would be great if you all could let us know what you think about what we talk about, the good, the bad, the ugly, and ask any questions along the way. Feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'll stop consistently and address those. All right, so let's dig in. So who are we as Catalyst? We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to focus on this top one today, the student motivation. If we have time, we'll go into a couple other things, but this is the main purpose of today's webinar. So, a little bit about Catalyst in case we are new to you. We were founded by these wonderful gentlemen on my screen. They actually all also have a background in education and teaching. So, they were all instructors at the University of Texas in Austin, teaching large courses that had hundreds, if not thousands, of students coming through the course on a weekly basis. And so, a lot of what we have built over the years at both Sapling Learning, if you have been around for a while in the chemistry world, they worked at Macmillan, now at Catalyst. A lot of what we focus on is being able to do great educational practices at scale. There's a lot of things that the literature supports or that people want to implement, but they just go, I have 500 students in my class. How could I possibly do this? So, a lot of what we aim to do is allow you guys to do that at scale. If you're new, this is just some of the universities across the United States and Canada that we currently work with. So if you see your university on there, chances are that some students in your campus already use our platform in another discipline. And this is just some of them. So again, we work with almost 300 universities across 500 different courses. So Catalyst is by no means a new company, and this is not a new platform. It just might be new to some of you. So that's what we're going to dig into today. Any questions or comments before I move on? I don't see anything yet, but I just want to make sure. Okay, so let's dig into the meat of what we're talking about today. So, we are going to focus, as I mentioned, on student motivation. I'm curious to hear from all of you. Obviously, if you signed up for this webinar, this must be a topic that's top of mind for you. So, if you want to say anything in the chat around maybe what your current struggles with students are they motivated? Are they doing the things that you expect them to do? Especially post-pandemic. We are hearing that characteristic has changed. All right, we've got in the chat, students like to pick easy instructors and easy courses. They will become losers by selecting the easy things. What are your suggestions? Yeah. With the internet these days, I mean, Rate My Professor has always been around, but I'm always shocked when I look at Reddit or social media threads. Like they really talk about the outline of courses. So we're going to talk about how to motivate students to do the good behaviors that they need to do to be a good student. All right, so a little data to ground us before we hop into the platform. When we were developing our online courseware, we wanted to root it in real student feedback, not just what we thought would be important or what we thought was going on. So this is a study that was done in partnership with Inside Higher Ed and Generation Lab. This was thousands of undergraduate students across America. And they asked them, what do you think the biggest drivers of what they were calling the college mental health crisis? I think that's a little extreme, but we'll say just kind of the stress and demotivation in recent years. And so these are student responses. And what I think is really interesting about this is that their number one and two answers had nothing to do with economic issues. You can see that is on here, but it's lower down. It mostly had to do with balancing their personal life with the needs of their schoolwork. So their job, their family, commuting back and forth, whatever is going on, the cost of living, like everything is stressful, and they were having issues balancing that with what they needed to do to achieve their classes. So, what I like about this is that they weren't saying they didn't want to do the work or that they can't do the work. They wanted to balance everything and have more ability to do so. Then, when they asked students which of these things could your institution enable in order to help you, again, the main couple of things are rethinking schedules, rethinking those really high stakes assignments, adding mental health days, so just giving us some flexibility and some breathing room, and encouraging faculty to allow more flexibility with due dates. So again, they're not asking for extra credit or, don't make me do this thing. They're asking for a little bit of balance and flexibility around those. Any of this data interesting or surprising to anyone? Do you think your students would maybe say the same? These answers actually really encouraged us because we felt like we could solve this easy. All right, so I am going to pop over to my actual screen where I'm going to show you our platform. Hi, Laura. Good to hear from you. So, again, if you're new to Catalyst, we have a courseware platform. We actually have two courseware platforms, but they're kind of the same thing. They're built on the same general principles. We have a platform called LabFlow. LabFlow is for undergraduate teaching labs, so like chemistry and biology. And then we have a courseware platform called Spark, which is actually the same platform as LabFlow, just kind of rearranged to support lecture courses. They look and function exactly the same. So the demonstration I'm actually going to show you all today is going to be for a general chemistry lecture course. But I want you to keep in mind, no matter what you teach and why you're here, this is able to be implemented in your course as well. So I just had to pick one, and so I picked general chemistry, but the platform functions exactly the same regardless of what you teach. So this is Spark and or LabFlow. It is a complete learning management system. It's going to house all of the content and assessment that you need to do your course. Couple things I always like to get out of the way at the beginning. This is fully accessible. It will meet or does meet the newest accessibility standards that are coming down the pipe in April. It is able to be integrated with your current campus LMS. So if you use Canvas or Blackboard or D2L, students can have single sign-on and then the grades pass back and forth. So just a couple things to get out of the way at the beginning. This would be just like any other courseware platform that you adopt, but it can integrate with your campus systems. So we're going to dig right into our token economy demo, which is our solution, our technology solution to helping that motivation problem. I really would love to hear from you all how you feel about this, negative or positive, because I love to have this conversation with people. So let's dig in. What is a token economy? Sometimes I don't have to explain it, but I'll give you my very basic understanding of what we're doing here. The main goal here is to incentivize students to do things that we want them to do by rewarding tokens. Um, the concept of a token economy is not new. Not to, dumb it down, but think about the most basic sticker chart. You do certain things and you get stickers, and once you get to a certain threshold, you get a prize. That is like the basics of a token economy. We're going to incentivize things with tokens, and then they get to redeem those tokens. We are using a digital token economy system. So you can see up here in the right that I've got some digital tokens in my bank. I've got 76 tokens. And then I'm going to show you how students earn them and how they redeem them. Before we dig into that, I'm curious to hear from you all what behaviors or habits you wish your students would display. Sometimes the way I pose this is if you could fill in this sentence, if my students would just blank, they would do great in this class. So, is there anything that you feel, if you want to drop it in the chat, anything that you feel like if my students would just do this, they would do good. Come to office hours, consistently engage, show up. Yeah. And these seem really basic, right? Like this shouldn't be that difficult to tell students this is really important to do. But students in 2026, they don't know how to college. They don't know this stuff, or they know it, but they're not motivated to do it. Okay, so let's dig in. So here's an example of a class. Everything is modular, like you would expect. And I'm going to show a couple examples of things that we can reward tokens for, and then I'll show you how they redeem them. So one example is a lot of people love video content. Either they've made their own videos and they want students to watch them for extra engagement. Maybe you require some videos and you have quizzes. We can now reward tokens for watching videos. So Catalyst does have videos that we can provide. We've got a great library for many of our disciplines. But this isn't necessarily something a student has to do, but you want them to do it. So you can add a completion criteria. Right now I have it at 1% just for demo purposes. And you can see once I got to 1%, I don't know if you noticed that, but my 76 tokens went up to 86. So I am incentivizing my students to watch some of these extra videos and get some extra reinforcement of concepts. And I'm going to reward them with tokens for that. All automated. You set it up and it just happened. What else can we ask students to do? Well, what if we want students to work on their assignments early and turn things in on time? That is such a great skill to learn, especially as like a freshman, that don't wait until 11:48 when it's due at 11:49, because then you're causing a stressful situation for yourself. So we can incentivize starting things early, working on them by the due date, just really good behavior that every student should do. And because they're doing it in this platform and we can timestamp things, we can award tokens for that. We can also reward mastery. So maybe you want to give students, you can see here I have 2 attempts on this quiz. Maybe you want to give them multiple attempts on something and you want to reward them for using those multiple attempts to achieve a certain score. I think we all know that just time in the content is going to have them perform better. So if you have a student who does a quiz 3 times and gets shuffled questions and maybe a different version each time, but the same concept, versus a student who just does it once and gets a 40% and moves on, that grit that that student showed to do it 2 or 3 times is going to pay off later. We can now reward that behavior with some tokens. So these are just examples of things that our system can reward tokens for. I'm curious if anyone has any other ideas about tokens, and then I'm going to show you how seamlessly they can redeem them and how this works. You can always add and remove tokens manually. So maybe there's a situation that you want to just give everybody a token bank to start with, or you need to manually do things. You can configure your own token earning rewards. So someone said come to office hours in the chat. That is always my number one thing that I would want my students to do. Once throughout the term, just come find my office, come learn where I'm at, introduce yourself face to face. I can't tell you how many instructors that we talk to that say, I sit in my office for 2 hours every day and it's a ghost town. No one comes. So we can now incentivize that behavior. Recitation is a great, if your course has a recitation or a discussion segment to it, getting students to actually come to those and participate in that class time is a great way to reward tokens. And all of that can be automated as well. Just coming to class, a simple attendance or an in-class response kind of participation could all be rewarded with tokens. Okay, so now we've talked about all the ways that we can engage students and get them tokens. So what do they use the tokens for? Well, if you remember that data that I showed at the beginning, students want flexibility and they want the ability to redo or rethink those high stakes assignments. So we took that and we built it into our platform. So, what do students want? Flexibility? Great, we can give that to them. Here's that same quiz that I was doing as a student. I'm now on the settings page as an instructor. And if I scroll down, I'm going to get to my token settings. And here's where I can enable what I want this quiz to be worth and how I maybe want students to be able to redeem tokens. You can set this up as an instructor with just some simple clicks, and we can set it up in bulk if you want it for everything. Or our team can work with you to make sure that your token economy setup is achieving the goals that you want. So, simple checkboxes. I decide that I want them to earn tokens for working on something early. I want them to earn tokens for getting a certain score, and I can decide what that score is, what that threshold is. And then here's where I decide how they can spend tokens. So the basic ways we have that students can spend tokens currently are purchasing a retry. So maybe they had those 2 attempts, they used both of them, and they're still not happy with their score. They can purchase the opportunity to redo that assignment, or they can purchase an extension on their due date. Now, again, you have full control over this, so you decide what can be purchased and for how much. You can even decide how long the extension is. So we do them in 24-hour periods. So right now I've just got a 1 day extension. Okay. I'm going to switch over to my student account and show you what it looks like from the student perspective, because the important part to know is that this is all automated once you set it up. So a lot of people think, yeah, this is a great idea, but I have 500 students. How would I possibly get their tokens and then go reopen their assignment? You don't have to. It's going to run itself once you get it set up. So here I am as my student. I'm in as a student, and I've got 27 tokens in my token bank for other things that I've done throughout the semester. I do want to mention that this is completely mobile. So Spark and Labflow were actually built mobile first. So you can have a student that does some quizzes on their phone and immediately gets those tokens. It's a very motivating kind of like Duolingo style motivation framework for them. So I've done some stuff on my own and gotten 27 tokens in my bank. And I'm going to go in and work on one of my assignments. So let's say I am working on my quiz here. So this is from the student perspective. I'm going to open up my quiz and I can immediately see how I can earn tokens. These opportunities can stack. So I could be an awesome student, work on it early, and get a 90% and earn up to 30 tokens, which is great. But I'm in here and I noticed that this is going to be due on June 5th. The cutoff date, the absolute latest that I can turn this in without any penalty is the 5th. And I know that I have a physics final that day, or my brother's getting married, or my sweet grandma plans to die, or like whatever the reason that students email you for right now. I'm sick, whatever the reason is, I'm not going to get this done by the 5th. I need an extension. Instead of having to do that negotiation with you, I have 27 tokens in my token bank. So I've earned that ability to extend my own due date. So I'm going to do this and I want you to watch two things. I want you to watch my bank and I want you to watch the due date. So here I am. I have a button right in front of me. I'm going to click extend deadline. It's going to warn me you've got 27 available. This is going to cost 10. You're going to extend it by 1 day. I'm going to confirm. It is going to take away those 10 tokens and it automatically moved that due date 24 hours in the future. So I did not have to email you with all my reasons. I've earned that flexibility. And you, as an instructor, did not have to log in and actually grant that. You already set up those boundaries, and now I just get to work within them, which is pretty cool. Um, for students who already have earned extensions for any like ADA reasons, we do have the ability to give people time and a half or extra due dates, and then you can even set it up that they can use tokens on top of that. So this functionality works regardless of what the original due date setting needs to be. So somebody asked how would I know what they've done with those? That's a great question. So there is a token log available. So here is this is kind of like your receipts of how you earned and spent tokens. So here is that activity that I just extended that cost me 10 tokens. You'll also be able to download all of this data if you ever wanted to do any kind of research or information about how students are earning and spending tokens at large. We are doing some of that research right now with an instructor, and it's really interesting to see what's important to them, what time of day they're using it, all those things. So yeah, you'll always get a log. So I'm going to switch over and show you all some early data from our token users. But as I pull that up, does anyone have any questions or comments, honestly, about this idea? We have people on all sides of the spectrum about how they feel about an automated token economy and how they might use it. And so I am curious if you love it, if you hate it, if it's interesting to you, if you think this would help motivate your students to engage. Laura says, I like the tokens because even a poor practice performance can be rewarding and give some agency. Yeah. So my favorite way that I've seen people use tokens is, or I've wanted them to use them is for in class. So we want students to come to class, but I don't think that necessarily we need to reward attendance points, right? You should just want to come to class. So a way that people have been able to use this is because it's mobile is maybe you have an in-class quiz question, and maybe it's about a topic that they should have known from last lecture. I can actually show you a quick example. Um, Let me go back to my before I show you the data. And you can reward here both submitting it while you're in class. So you can set up that time frame to say, I just want to know that your butt is in your seat, you're here. And you could ask them to actually get that question correct. So if I'm a student and I'm going in here to do my quiz, one of my how effective are the practice quizzes in preparing you? And I just want your feedback maybe on how you're doing. Maybe this one doesn't have a right answer, but you're going to get credit for completion. So there's a lot of things you can do to reward the effort almost and the ability that they're just there showing up, and then they can use that later for things that are important to them. So let me show you guys some early fun data that we have collected with a partnership. We did a um, partnership with Baylor University. So I'm going to share this data here. So why we did this was Baylor University ended up implementing the token system at spring break last spring. So we have the same group of students who had no token economy in their course for the first half, then implemented in the second half. So these are the same group of students who kind of are reflecting on how that affected them. There's some data in here that maybe isn't relevant, so I'm going to skip through a few, but I do just want to say this is Dr. Jourdain's spring chemistry class. There were, I think, over 400 students who responded. All the survey responses were willingly, we didn't add any extra credit or any incentive. So this was their just like honest opinion. And it was optional. And again, they implemented at spring break. So that's good to know. 321 responses that you're going to see here from students. So overall experience just with the platform, very good and good. What I love about this is that if you're going to ask a student their experience with a homework platform, it's not always very good. You know, these systems are having them do more work. So to have any very good was really surprising to me, and I really loved it. I'm going to skip over all the data and just go to the token piece. So again, overall, sorry about this. Okay, so we asked the students in the class, did you use tokens at all? And we were surprised to hear that 30% of them actually didn't use them. So we now have built-in token tutorials for students so that they can understand how this works. So if you do choose to enable tokens in your course, we will make sure that your students understand how they can be used and redeemed, because we really felt like the majority of students who didn't use them just didn't know how or didn't know why they were there. So we've remedied that. Overall, how would you rate the tokens? Again, overwhelmingly very good, which was really, really cool to see that students were feeling good about using them. And then we asked them to elaborate on their reasons for using tokens. So we know they can extend or retry, but we wanted to dig deeper into what they were doing. So we're going to just kind of go over the overview. So the reasons were to avoid a late penalty. I love this one because this is more carrot than stick, right? I can either do this really incentivizing thing and get an extension, or I can turn my thing in late and get a 10% penalty. Both are valid and both can be used at the same time, but I think it's really cool to see that students wanted to do the positive behavior rather than take the penalty. Some students just wanted to earn a better grade. Maybe they had two attempts, and even after the second attempt, they weren't happy with that score, so they bought another third attempt and tried again. That grit and that time in the content, that time on task is so cool to see. They were sick. You know, that happens. You're sick. And I know university policies have changed since the pandemic, where I don't know if you even have to show documentation anymore. So you're sick? Fine. Here's how you can earn flexibility. Just wanted more time. No reason really at all. They just wanted a little more time. Needed a mental health break, etc. Overslept. That's been me. You know, I overslept, and so I didn't get my homework done or I didn't get my in-class thing done, so I earned some flexibility elsewhere. So I thought these were really interesting. Then we pulled out some of our favorite explanations just to highlight the vast reasons. I had a late night shift for work. So that aligns perfectly with that data that I showed at the beginning. If a student has a job and their shift runs late, but their homework was also due that night at 10:59, they shouldn't have to choose between the two and feel that stress. Now they've earned that flexibility. Mental health break, needed time to prioritize an exam the next day. So I love that example too of both things were important, but that high stakes exam in another class was taking priority. So instead of just bombing the assignment for this class, they earned some flexibility. My favorite one though is this last one. I couldn't go to office hours until after the due date. So this allowed me to extend it and then attend office hours. What I love about this is that without this extension ability, that student would probably be tempted to cheat, right? I've got this looming deadline. I don't understand the content and I know I need help, but I have nowhere to go right now. So I'm just going to go to ChatGPT or I'm just going to go to the internet. This allowed them to take a breather, go to office hours the next day, seek out help that they needed from their instructor. So not only are we helping them with the flexibility, we're really incentivizing positive behavior that is hopefully going to follow them throughout their college journey. So this one was my absolute favorite. Um, and then we asked them to talk about some new ideas that they had for tokens, and these are all going to be considered and put on our roadmap. So, what I thought was funny was the main one was extra credit. I think we all know that students are just obsessed with points and they will do anything for points. Philosophically, we're actually trying to stay away from this for now, but you as an instructor could always award extra credit for the students who get a certain amount of tokens. You can see their token bank at any time. You could manually award credit if you wanted to. We're just not implementing that yet in the system. But they had a great idea of like, could I use a couple tokens to get a hint? Maybe I'm stuck. Could I skip an assignment, kind of like dropping your lowest grade? I don't actually want to redo it. Could I just earn the ability to like get it taken out of my grade book completely? So that's something that we're considering. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool things that students have given us that we've taken into consideration, and we're always looking for that feedback from instructors too. So let me check yeah. So Carol asked, can we give students tokens just to start the semester? Absolutely. So we have a lot of people that maybe give every student 10 tokens to start with, just to earn that flexibility at the beginning. One of the biggest things that we've heard from instructors who've implemented this, which now about 30% of our users have this in their classes running, is that it's really helped with those first few weeks of class. So when students are really overwhelmed with everything they have to do, maybe they fall behind in your class and that would end up maybe they drop it. This is giving them the ability to catch back up. So that's been really great to hear. And yes, you can give them a bank to start with. You can always, as an instructor, offer extensions and retries the old-fashioned way. So tokens are not the only way that that functions in our platform. You can always grant exceptions and we can help you do that. But this automated way helps the students own it. It helps them practice good behavior, and it takes so much administrative and email um, stuff off of your plate. All right, so that is kind of our overview. Why student motivation matters to us so much, the data that backs it up, and the few technological solutions that we're presenting. This is again available for labs and lecture. We have many disciplines that we cover, and so if you're interested in learning more how this might work for your course, Spark and Labflow have many, many other features as well. The token economy is completely optional. So even if this is like kind of interesting to you, but not great, we would love to talk to you about your course. We've got customization of content that's a great option. We have AI assisted grading, which is a great way for you to ask open-ended questions at scale and actually grade and give feedback. We've got a great team that loves to work with people. We have a couple current customers on this that I know could speak to that. We partner you with top tier service. Everyone at Catalyst has taught before in the classroom, has advanced degrees in the subject matter that you're teaching. So we speak your language. So we're just a great group to work with if you want to even talk about your dreams for your course that maybe we didn't touch on today. I just put a link in the chat around where you could schedule that time, or you can always just reach out to me via email. I'll put my email in the chat too. So I'll hang out for a few minutes, but does anyone have any comments or questions or anything else that I could help with before I let you go on your Friday? Okay, someone said I saw your universities on your user list. How do our faculty get access and use this? Yeah, absolutely. So, if we are already in use at your system, that's great because that means we can already be added as an external tool. We would just meet with you to talk about your course goals, the content, especially if you're in like a lab situation, you usually have your own lab manual already. We can take that content and build it into our system. Same with lecture. If you already have worksheets or something you've developed. So the next step would just be to chat with us via email or hop on a quick Zoom, and we could talk about how we could implement it. So I'll follow up with you. And thank you to the few of you on this call who are already users. We love hearing from you too. So, of course. All right. Well, I'll hang out for a couple seconds if anyone else has any questions. Other than that, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and you will hear from us soon.